Hey there, welcome to Talking to Myself, the part of the day where I talk to myself about things that I was thinking the night before while laying in bed. Shout out, of course, to all 790 subscribers at the time of making this video. I truly do appreciate it. It is truly just fascinating. I don't even ask you guys to subscribe because I don't really give a damn if you do, because I believe that you're a free person. You should do whatever you want to do. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for subscribing as well. Shout out to Saratoga Peanut Butter. Shout out to Stetson Hat Co. Shout out to Lotus Flame Candle Company, Los Angeles Dodgers, Kings of Leon, Dorian Coleman, Lee DeLeon, Dylan's View on Instagram for helping a boy out with a couple things that we're going to be doing. And yeah, so just getting into it, I'd like to just make an announcement. I did actually pick up a camera. I picked up this XT2, sorry. I got myself a small rig cage with it. It also came with a battery grip with a grip for the cage. It came with this handle, came with this Rode VideoMic Pro, or Video Micro. This is my 16 to 55 2.8 lens. And I've been using this for basically over the weekend, over the 4th of July weekend, getting some B-roll, shooting some stuff, shooting some test shots with me, just test exactly how this will be, shooting in 4K at f-log at the max 100 megabits per second, which I shoot my 1080 at 100 megabits per second, no one ever notices. So this is gonna be more than enough. What I've noticed is the, with the updates basically for this, I can't tell the difference between this and the X Pro 3. The focus is almost exactly the same. It never loses me, especially with this lens. I also tried it with a 51.4 and did not have a issue with focus jumping whatsoever when shooting at 1.8 with the 35 1.4. So basically the XT2, I will say this one thing, and this will lead into the topic of my video. Fujifilm does a damn good job of not only updates, but the fact that their processors work so in line with each other, and because the sensors aren't so dramatically different from generation to generation, the benefit is you get cameras that can take a lot of updates, and not only the updates with it, but the fact is you're kind of future-proof for a while. This is a 4K camera that's about 1, 2, 3 cameras in their flagship lines that have been released since 2X, 2T line, 1H, and it runs like a beauty. I mean, I'm talking about every time I use this, I've moved around dramatically. I'd shot nothing super cinematic because I wanted to see how it handled autofocus, how it's handled with grading and things like that, how it had an overexposed shot, an underexposed shot, and it just passed with flying colors. And it just goes to show you that you don't really need this top of the line stuff that everyone is always saying you do. You don't have to change your gear every year. I got this with the battery grip with 3 different batteries, a cage for the body with the battery grip, this cage, this handle, this right here, a monitor mount as well. I got all this, not the lens with it, but the body and all, for $580 plus shipping and handling, shipping. So all together around $611. That's a steal. That's a steal, I understand that, but that's the reason why I was able to jump on it. I got all that, and I'm gonna be able to do so much with it, especially for things that I can make money with. Now, the reason why this is a big deal and why I brought up the fact of how well it does isn't so I can bump up the price of XT2s, even though I'm sure someone will complain. It's because this. I want to go over the fact everyone makes a video on it, does gear really matter? And I want to just be honest with you. Your gear matters to an extent, meaning your lenses and your camera bodies matter to an extent. Past that, I can't say that your gear really matters much. And let me explain by what I mean by this. Let me just tell you one thing before I begin. People on the internet, reviewers, YouTubers, people like me, people that write blogs, we do this to get clicks, we do this to get impressions, we do this to get in likes. It has nothing to do with us being honest. Now, some people like to say that I'm more honest, and some people I feel like are, well, you know, BS you less than others. But at the same time, if I'm being 100% honest, I cannot tell you that whenever you're watching these videos of what's in my bag, what am I carrying, what's my photography weddings loadout, what's my videography loadout, I can't tell you that what you're getting is a great representation of what is truly needed. And in these Does Gear Matter videos, I'm really tired of people saying no, gear doesn't matter. You can make something with anything, because that should be obvious. Because in the end of things, if that was the case, everyone would be fine with an iPro, but you're being told gear doesn't matter by a guy with a Red Epic or a Canon C300 or all of the L glass from Canon known, or all the Sony G Master lenses, or a Sony A1 or a Panasonic S1H. You're being told this by people who have top of the line things, who can afford it, and who are actually having stuff sent to them by other companies. It's pretty crappy, I will 100% admit it, because you're not getting a true representation. So let me give you an honest representation. Does your gear matter? Should depend on what you're doing with the gear. And I know this may sound super lame, this may sound super like cop-out, but it's not. Here's the thing, are you taking photos? That's fantastic. You can take a great photo with whatever camera you have and whatever lens you have if you know how to manipulate light and you know how to correctly operate a camera, and you know composure, you know composition. You know all of these things that a regular average photographer should know, because the secret isn't the gear you have. The gear doesn't make the artist. What makes the artist is the knowledge the artist has. For example, because I'm going to bring it up, I keep getting talked to by these people from Leica because of Leica videos I've made. And for those of y'all that don't know, I don't mind Leica. I would love a Leica Q if I could get it at a reasonable price. And I think the lenses are some of the best to be ever created, if not the best ever created. But to be honest with you, what does a Leica do better than any other camera? The sensor? If that's the case, then I'm going to make a video pretty soon where I'm going to put up 5 photos right now. Out of these 5 photos, actually let's make it 10. I'm gonna put up 10 photos right now. So these 10 photos will run through while I'm talking. Out of these 10 photos, I want you in the comments to be able to tell me what are the Leica photos and which photos are actually Fujifilm, Sony, or Canon photos. So I'll just take some time. I'm talking right now and I'm letting you decide. These are all going to be not graded, straight out of camera photos. Period, point blank, nothing else. There's no dramatic effects to them, but even if there were, you should be able to tell, because I've been told that Leica sensors are different and Leica glass has a different quality. So regardless of even if there was editing, you should be able to tell. So if you can name me all 5 Leica photos, or if there even are five Leica photos, I'll maybe give you an award or something, and I'll be able to go in the comments and tell you exactly if you're right or wrong. But what I'm trying to get at is the gear that you have for the specific job or the specific deal that you're doing, that's what should matter. It should be able to keep up with your specs. The reason why I can deal with an XH2, even though it's old and it's not as great, and the last XH2 video tutorial video that I could find on YouTube was 3 years ago, the most relevant one besides people saying, should you get an XT2 in 2021, is because this does what I need to do. Yeah, it shoots 100 megabits per second, but does that matter? Does it matter? Do any of y'all know what that actually does? And I'm sincere. Do you know what 100 megabits per second or whatever the frick it's called? Do you know what that does for your look? Do you know what it does for your video? Do you really? People talk about this shoots 4K, this shoots F-Log. It shoots at if I put on the grip, it shoots for 30 minutes in HD, and it shoots for 15 to 20 minutes in 4K. Does it matter if it can do any more? How many of you are shooting full-length videos and you're using something like this? How many are using XT4s, Sony A7 III shooting feature-length films? I want to know why you're doing such a thing. Listen, I'm about to do a documentary with bull riders, with Dennis Davis, Brendan Stewart, who raise up these bulls, these calves to be able to be sold, to be put in these PBR competitions with, what is his name? Whatever these guys' names are. I'm about to do this work. I can't bring this. I can't bring something like this to that job. Okay, so in that matter, my gear does matter. That's why I had to get a C100 Mark II. That's why I have to get these nice microphones, these XLR cables. That's why I have to get this preamp. That's why I have to get this cloud lifter. The gear matters for the specific job you're doing. Let me tell you something. If you're only shooting photos and that's it, and you're gonna buy your first camera, here's 2 things that I'll tell you. Don't touch a film camera ever. Don't. Film cameras are not, film is not good for a beginner, and film honestly is an outdated medium that is great and it's nostalgic, but at the same time, if anyone tells you it's efficient or it's a great way to learn photography, they're lying to you, they're hipsters, and it's weird. Film isn't a great way to learn photography. You take the photos, you send it off, and if you get them back and they're underexposed or overexposed, you have to remember every single setting you shot with in order to get it right. Buy yourself a digital camera. Buy yourself a DSLR, a Canon 5D Mark I. Buy yourself an XT1, an XT2. Buy yourself an XE1, an XE2S. Buy yourself a Canon A6000. You don't need to break the bank and get the best of the best if you're a beginner. That's a horrible thing. Don't buy yourself an overpriced digital camera and stay away from film cameras, please, so you don't become these film buffs and film junkies that want to say that, you know, film just has a special characteristic, because it doesn't. There's nothing special about film. Film doesn't make anyone feel any different. To be honest with you, 90% of people that are liking your photos can't even tell if it's film. They don't care. If it wasn't for your hashtag, it wouldn't matter. All they're here for is composition. So stay away from digital cameras and stay away from the film, or expensive digital cameras. Stay away from the film cameras whenever you're just beginning. Listen, I'm just telling you right now, if all you shoot is photos, just get a camera that shoots photos. Get a nice lens. You don't have to get a $2,000 lens. Get yourself a kit lens. I've said it over and over and over again. And this guy, Cam.Kinch, sorry if I messed up your last name. I talked about him before, and I shouted out his Instagram. The reason why I like this guy, and I like his photos, is because he's just shooting, he's a Fuji shooter and stuff like that, but he's a man who I would say right now isn't professional in the eyes of a lot of people, but his shots are more professional than someone like me who's an actual professional. That says a lot. It doesn't matter what you're using. My boy Lee DeLeon showed me a kid from Houston who's doing amazing photo shoots with a Rebel TI, T6, whatever, and a kit lens. And here's the thing, is a lot of you guys shit on kit lenses. Sorry, Dorian. You shit all over kit lenses, but you guys aren't even good enough with a nice prime. You have a 51.0 and you don't know how to work it. And you don't know how to compose. You can't shoot black and white. You have to have oversaturated colors to get your point across. You have to have these models in controlled environments to do stuff. Listen, prove to me that you can do something. Go out and shoot street photography. Shoot like Dorian Coleman. Shoot like Young Ansel. Shoot like Dylan's View. Show me some street photography goods besides a house and besides a car. Show me something with people, and then I'll be able to show you that I can do the same thing with a run-of-the-mill camera any day. Listen, you guys, you've fooled yourself and you've hosed yourself into thinking that photography is this thing that you need the proper tools. No, it's not like that. You don't need a Leica to shoot great photos. And to be honest with you, most people that have Leicas don't shoot amazing photos. Just gonna be 100% honest with you, there's nothing special about them. You got guys like Stock Easy who make a huge difference. I love Stock Easy, but he's a guy that didn't care what he shot with. He actually told Fujifilm, if you guys don't get like our relationship good, I'm going to Leica. He jumped over because Fujifilm totally buffed on him and didn't treat him the way he should have been. There's video documentation. You can literally watch his blogs about this. So no, your gear doesn't matter, okay? What you know up here should matter more. Now, of course, you can't shoot a photo shoot with an iPhone and people are gonna take you seriously. But does anyone ask about a camera? No, I've never been anywhere and shot professionally. Someone said, "What? I take this X Pro 3 without a grip," but I've never had anyone say when I have a 28mm on their smallest camera system in the world, you know, I don't feel comfortable because it's not as perfect. It doesn't matter. When you're shooting video, what matters? Well, what does the client want you to export the film in? 4K, 8K, 1080p, 720? No matter what it is, as long as you can shoot that, you're good. This right here shoots 4K. This is going to be a great B-roll cam to match up with that C100. Yes, I said match up with that C100, because guess what matters more than your camera whenever your camera does the basic necessities that you have to do for a job? Your skill. So guess what? Because I can color grade, that matters more than buying myself an EOS R5. That matters more than buying myself a secondary C100 Mark II. You can't have it both ways. You can't cry about, oh, you have to be skilled and try to gatekeep every single thing with photography and videography. Filmmakers aren't real videographers. Oh, street photography isn't real photography. Everyone's just on the street photography kick. They don't even know. Listen, dude, you shoot portraits. And what is your video work? Music videos? That's great. I'm sure Little Perp Devil Juice Booty Hole Liquor 3000 is going to go platinum. And I'm not hating on anyone that shoots music videos. Do you? But what I'm saying is there's so much gatekeeping in the community whenever it comes to your gear and when it comes to what you're working on. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Cut the shit. Sorry, Dorian. Cut it. It's pathetic, dog. Get over yourself. Listen, your gear does not matter. What you do with the gear and what you need your gear to do for you does, okay? I can't go to a job and need to be shooting log in 4K and have an XT1 on me. I'd look like an idiot. I can't say your gear doesn't matter. I can shoot just, I can't, bro. You can't replicate that. I can't replicate log on an A6000. You can't, dog. You can't replicate it. But when I have the gear that I need, this XT2 does all I need to do. The focusing is perfectly fine. With the 16 to 55, it does amazing. It's got a nice mic on there for some scratch audio. It shoots log. It handles highlights pretty well. Shooting this thing with, and 1 1/3 stop overexposed went fantastic. With the grip on there, I can shoot for 30 minutes straight. Not even that I need to. And if I needed to, I could get a monitor. That's another thing. Listen, if you're not shooting with your personal gear films that will pay for your gear, or if some people are like, should I get a video monitor? Should I get a Blackmagic Video Assist 3G? Should I get the 4K? Should I get the 12G? Should I get you know, a Ninja 4 Flame? Should I get an Atomos Ninja 5 or whatever? Listen, if you need that and you can't make up the money for that in within 2 jobs, you don't need it. You're not there yet. You're not there yet. The reason why I shoot on a C100 Mark II for my professional stuff is very simple. It's because everything I need is right there. I don't need to add more stuff to it. Listen, if you're not at that level, that's fine, but don't get yourself in debt. This whole gear doesn't matter stuff and that gear matter stuff that goes back and forth on YouTube is just a pathetic way to get clickbait, and I don't like it. I will never make another video addressing this because it doesn't matter. Your gear doesn't matter. Your gear is fine with what you have. Listen, if you're right now, you can shoot 4K video, you're miles ahead of anyone else because a lot of the stuff that you're not only streaming, but you're watching on your phone is nowhere near 1080p. I shoot this whole channel on 1080p and just upscale it in 4K on Final Cut Pro. And listen, let me be honest with you. I have a $30 LumaFusion on my iPad. I can make the same videos on there. There's always a way to get the job done. So yeah, your gear matters to the extent of, you know what, I'd prefer to do work on certain things than others, but at the same time, I can still get the job done. Let me explain to you guys again. You aren't a professional just because you got a, you know, a flagship rig with a flagship lens. You're not a professional if you can't be professional with a kit lens and a regular startup body. That's what everyone has to understand. Listen, this whole shit, sorry Dorian, with you've got to have the best of the best every year, you have to upgrade bodies, you have to upgrade lenses, is something that will never ever work. It's never gonna make any sense. It's a waste of money. It's something that no one needs to even be thinking about. You guys we have to get out of this mindset, because the plain and simple fact is going into debt will never make you professional. Going into debt will never make you happy and make you feel like your work was worth it. There's nothing worse than buying gear and feeling like you wasted money on it, or it's not making you the money back. There's nothing worse than having to pay a minimum payment because it's so high that you can't put extra on it. Don't put that pressure on yourself. And the last thing is this. Stop buying entry-level new cameras because they have IBIS, because they have 4K. Listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Stay away from the XS10. And stay away from the XC4 if you want to record video. Stay away from, you know, even the XT4 if it's out of your budget, or the XT3 if you want to record video. Because the XT2 has more than enough to do all of that. This is a flagship camera. Okay, stick with flagships. It doesn't matter if they're 1 or 2 systems away. If they have what you need, why would you get an entry-level body when you can get an older flagship camera that does majority of the things you need and has all the flagship benefits? Please, just you guys, you have to do better. The biggest thing to being able to enjoy what you're doing, to enjoy this profession, to enjoy all the work you're going to be doing, is to make sure that you're not financially in a bind. That's the biggest thing. Because when you're struggling financially, when you're regretting all the gear that you're buying, the worst thing about it is the fact that when the money's not coming in, it's even more and more obvious, and it hurts even more and more and more. And you're eventually gonna sell your XT4. You're eventually gonna sell your little red, your Sony A1, because you need the money. You're gonna be another guy selling your stuff at a loss, trying to say hardly used, all these weird descriptions to try to make back money for something that you never needed in the first place. So listen, I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking of switching to the Fujifilm system, but your camera is perfectly fine to do everything you need to do, and to switch to the Fujifilm system, you would have to spend a little money out of pocket, don't do it. Don't. Your camera's perfectly fine. You can do more than enough with the camera and with the system that you have. Save yourself the money, save up, and buy more glass for it. Or save up till you're in another position to where you can buy the camera. Even more, if you're thinking about selling to switch bodies and you'll make a little bit of money off it, but maybe you'll lose a lens or two, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna be one of these guys that I sucker on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace into selling me something like this for super duper cheap. Now some of you may say, oh, that's bad, you sucker people in. Listen, I'm not here to be guilt tripped. I don't give a damn. Homeboy sold it to me cheap, that's on him. That's not on me for being financially savvy. But again, you guys, this camera does great. It does more than enough. And it's an X-T2. And a lot of you would think this is a horrible camera. Horrible video camera. I bet you the autofocus is horrible. Listen, I use this in autofocus. Didn't even use it in manual focus. And it did a lot better than other cameras I've had. This camera reminds me in center focus, moving from person to person. I know it's at 2.8. It reminds me of dual pixel autofocus on my old C300 cameras. It was great. Those shot in 1080. This shoots in 4K. Preamps are great. Great image coming out. 100 megabits per second. So I have, I'm not getting large, huge, chunky files. In 4K, does more than enough. This is gonna be the new YouTube channel camera. This is gonna be the new camera for anything, interview, stuff like that. Some things I have going on in the works, anything that has to do with real estate. This is gonna be the camera to use because it does more than enough. It's more than good enough, trust me. It's a flagship camera. And just because it's not new and doesn't have the bells and whistles, and because you can't feel excited about it, or your favorite YouTuber didn't do a review about it and tell you how great of a deal it is, doesn't mean you shouldn't look for it. Buy what you need. If you need a camera for photos, you don't need the X-T4. If it's out of your budget, what you need is a camera that'll just take photos. If you need a camera that shoots video, you don't need a Panasonic S1H with the brand new lenses. You don't need a Canon R5C or the R5 or the R6 or even the new R3 with their L-glass lenses. What you need is in your budget. And what you need is something that'll do the bare minimum for you to be able to get you the money or to be able to accomplish the projects you need to accomplish. Again, I apologize for having to make this video. I apologize for people talking about this all the time, does gear matter? But here's the thing. Stop clicking on those videos. Stop clicking on the what's in my camera bag, because all of those people have more than they even need to actually do their job. And you can think I'm being a hater, you can think I'm being critical, fight me. Literally post up. Send me your address or I'll send you mine. Follow me in the DMs, don't really care. You can fight me if you think that you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. And to those of you that are Leica owners who are really upset about some things I said about Leica a couple months ago, I want to remind you, your images all suck. Have a good one.